It's a boy!
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Zach.
We thought we'd make a little video about our travels in Australia. So we've set up a YouTube channel for our adventures or upcoming adventures in the motorhome that we've bought. But we spent a year and a half in Australia and half a year in New Zealand. We've got loads of videos and photos and we've not done anything with them. Even our friends and family haven't seen them. So we thought that why not compile some videos and put them on YouTube as well, so that other people with the same idea can have a little look at what our experience was.
So before we went to Australia, we were both living in London and we were just getting fed up. So we thought we needed to get out of the rat race, if you will, and just go and explore the world a bit. So we left London and we set off to Australia in November. And we were only supposed to be there for a month, but it turned out to be a year because we loved it so much.
Yeah, so we did lots of travelling when we were there. We flew into Sydney and we did house sitting and travelled up the East Coast all the way to Cairns. And then we actually met someone who knew of a job going in the Sunshine Coast. So we travelled back down there and worked there for a little bit.
So we set off from the Sunshine Coast in Queensland and we went all the way through Queensland, through the Outback, up to the Northern Territory, to Darwin, which is our destination, which is about the same distance of travelling from Nottingham in the UK to Athens and back. So, which is what we're planning on doing next year in our motorhome.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to compare what the spending is and actually how much you get to see. To be honest, it was an incredible adventure, but you're travelling through nothingness for a very long time. So we'll probably do 3 or 4 videos just about our experience travelling through the Outback and Darwin and all of that. And then we might do some other videos about our other little adventures that we went on when we were in Australia and New Zealand. Last June, we packed up our lives into a rooftop tent and set off on an unforgettable 5,500-mile journey through Australia's Outback.
Over 34 days, we lived out of a Great Wall V200 pickup truck equipped with a 2-burner stove, no fridge, surviving mostly off canned goods.
Thankfully, he's a really good chef. We stayed at 3 camps wherever we could, but it wasn't always possible. Join us as we take you from the Sunshine Coast to Darwin, down to the Kimberleys and back again, with all the twists, turns and surprises, which there was a lot of them, along the way. So our first stop was Hervey Bay to catch the great humpback whale migration.
Packing the car turned into an all-day mission.
3 camps are rare in Hervey Bay, so we had to book a paid one. By the time we rolled into Tasman Holiday Parks, it was pitch black. Exhausted, we pitched up and collapsed into bed. We didn't really get to explore Hervey Bay as we'd planned.
So bright and early the next morning, woolly hats and all, we were off to the Blue Dolphin catamaran to see the humpback whales.
Hervey Bay is a key rest stop for humpbacks during their migration between Antarctica and northeast Australia for their breeding season. The sheltered waters give mothers and calves a chance to rest and play before continuing their journey. Every year, more than 8,000 southern humpback whales stop over. Conservation is really important to us, so it was important that we found someone that was ethical. So Blue Dolphin Catamaran undertake important whale monitoring research, and they use sails that basically prevents noise disturbance to marine life, and they always ensure that they don't approach the whales. It's entirely up to the whales to approach the vessel.
We're lucky enough to spot 4 humpbacks, a pod of common dolphins and even a few boobies on the way back. Next stop, Rockhampton. Well, plans changed very quickly. The Bruce Highway was completely shut after a massive accident involving military tanks, explosives, caravans and multiple vehicles. The road was blocked for over 48 hours.
We had a decision to make. Turning back would have meant a 9-hour detour through the outback and missing our cave tour in Rockhampton, which we'd been very much looking forward to. So we decided to stay put.
We camped in a roadhouse car park with hundreds of other travellers. It wasn't glamorous, but we saw our first blue-winged kookaburra, and the family running the roadhouse did an amazing job at feeding everyone.
What are you doing? By morning, the road had opened up and we were back on track.
First, a quick stop at the mechanic. Our rooftop tent had come loose, but the mechanic tightened it up free of charge.
Next stop, the Capricorn caves. These limestone caves are over 390 million years old and are famous for their stunning natural cathedral and unique geology. The helmet.
It was an epic but exhausting tour, crawling through back Guano.
Which is back poop.
Definitely left us filthy, but the caves were absolutely worth
soldiers. So these caves were used as a training ground for soldiers during World War I and World War II. So they're training for underground fighting and trench fighting here. Now they did the same course you're doing today, except they did it in full combat gear, carrying all their weapons, which you had a full pass ahead of them. Alright guys, we're going to try out one.
You've done the worm at home or at some party at some stage, haven't you?
It's a boy!
After an exhausting day clambering around caves, we tried 3 different campsites which were all fully booked until eventually
We found Shirley Clydesdale's through Hip Camp. It had showers, creepy crawly filled metal shacks, but it felt like heaven after the caves. Plus there was plenty of dogs and horses to keep us company. This is where the real outback adventure begins. In our next video, we'll take you through red dirt, endless skies and challenges of the outback. Stay tuned for part 2.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We've done something a little bit different, doing a bit more of a scripted video, just to get more information in there, more precise.
So overall, the first leg of the journey, we spent about $4,500 to prep the car and get it ready, including the purchase of the car. But we were using that for work and stuff before we left on the road trip. About another $700 on camping essentials. And of course, we sold all this when we left Australia as well. At the end of all these video series, we'll tot up like overall how much everything cost us.
So the whale watching course cost around $200 each, including coach pickup, lunch and refreshments. Tasman holiday parks cost around $40 a night for an unpowered site.
We did book it quite last minute, like probably about a week in advance. So we think we could have got it cheaper if we'd booked further in advance. If you are going to Hervey Bay, make sure that you book in advance because many of the campsites were fully booked. And then the hip camp that we got in Rockhampton, we paid for that on the night and that cost us about $10 a night. We did have a free camp lined up further into Emerald after Rockhampton, but because of the delays and stuff, we ended up staying closer into Rockhampton, which is why we had to pay. The Capricorn caves cost us around $43 per person for an 120-minute tour.
Which is honestly, if anybody is ever going to Australia, 100% do that because it was absolutely incredible. It was a bargain of my whole lifetime. Yeah,
it was so good. Learned loads as well. The tour guide was incredible, and we also met some really cool people while we were there.
Yeah. So our food probably cost us about $10 a day because we were only using very cheap canned goods. It's amazing what you can make with, really cheap tin goods, but we made do.
And we probably spent about $70 on fuel.
To get from Sunshine Coast to Rockhampton.
Yeah, which is about 550 kilometres or 340 miles.
Yeah.
So this was by far the most expensive part of our trip. So it probably sounds like a lot, but it was definitely worth it. Like the experiences that we had just seeing the humpback whales up close like that, it was incredible. And then of course the caves as well. So it's 100% worth it. Hervey Bay is a little bit more expensive because it's such a popular destination for good reason.
So right, it should be, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you enjoyed this leg of our journey, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be back hopefully soon.
Yep, with part 2.
Yeah, with part 2.
So thank you very much, guys, and have a great rest of your day.
Ciao.